Hey guys, it's Chelsea Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking college hoops. Cincinnati at number 12, Tennessee. Christmas is right around the corner, and we've got a promo code. The code is ELF, ELF, for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. The Vols are favored in this one, minus 7.5. The total is 131.5. The Bearcats enter 2-1 on the year, 1-2 against the spread, while Tennessee 1-0 straight up and against the number in their only game of the season so far, beating Colorado and covering that spread. We've got Chip Chirimbes with us, who is 11-4 this season when it comes to college basketball picks. He's being selective, so you know these are the games that he really likes. Chip, what do you like about this one, Cincinnati and Tennessee?
I do like this one. And by the way, we're picking up the pace now that the schedule is out there and we're seeing some games out. I'll have at least 3 games on Saturday in my 3-pack of NCAA winners. But this is a great game. I mean, Rick Barnes has led this Tennessee team into respectability. They played an excellent game against Colorado, only allowing 47 points. They scored 56, but they really did a defensive number on the Buffaloes. And that's sort of Cincinnati's moniker, is that the way they play defense. They held Furman in their 5-point win last time out to a 39% shooting. Furman came into that game 4-0 and shooting almost 50% on the season. They're plus 6.7 in rebounds per game, and their biggest Achilles heel for the Bearcats. And it just seems to Chelsa every year it's the same old scenario. Their foul shooting is absolutely horrendous, 64.9%. That just doesn't make it. They also don't play that well on the road. They've only covered 5 of the last 18 times that Cincinnati Bearcats have been on the road. And after a win, which they're coming off of, they're even worse. It's sort of like they get so complacent. They've only covered 6 of the last 29 after winning the previous game. You know, you can come out with all that negative stuff, but this is a team that's going to try and keep this game close enough. Maybe they'll get in under the point spread. Tennessee is ranked number 12 by some and number 16 by others, but they've also played a defensive game. Chelsea, I know you're thinking the other way, but they're 11-5 in their last 16 at home. I think this game stays under the total, and I think it stays under easily.
Well, I was going a little bit back and forth on this one just because Tennessee has some really good talent when it comes to defense. Yves Pons is the returning SEC Player of the Year, and he always blocks shots. But I think you got to look at the number on this one. I think 131.5 is pretty low. The last meeting between these two teams was 78-66, with Cincinnati winning, which is another red flag for me because this is a Tennessee team that's supposed to be really good this season. Picked to finish first in the SEC when it came to the preseason polls. I'm wondering if they're that much better. So I would lean to Cincinnati maybe covering, but I like the over in this one just because it's such a small sample size for Tennessee. One game of the year. Yes, it was low scoring. Yes, they played good defense, but Tennessee shot just 35% from the field. That's worse than their 3-point shooting percentage in that game, which was 38%. I think there was some rust when it comes to the first game, and they did shoot 73% from the free throw stripe. So I think the shooting gets a little bit better in this one from Tennessee, and I think we see at least a lot more points from Tennessee's perspective, and I just think 131 is pretty low. I like the over.
Yeah, I can understand. And, you know, I have a little fear of this volunteer team putting it together, like you said, after, say, their pedestrian outing the first time out there. But I have to revert back to the fact that Cincinnati, in their last 70 games on the road, is 50, 18-2 to the under. So there you have it. That's what makes gambling, Chelsea. You've got one side, I've got another. We'll see what happens. We'll know tomorrow night.
Yeah, this should be a good one, too, because it's really fascinating to me how dominant Cincinnati has actually been in the meetings between these two. They actually lead the all-time series 6-1, and I think Tennessee has not beaten Cincinnati since the 50s. Granted, they've only played 7 times, but for the fact that I guess Cincinnati's a good program, too. I shouldn't discount them just because they're in a smaller conference. But Tennessee is one of those teams that's supposed to be really good this year. But 7.5 points is quite a bit in college basketball. So that's why I was kind of shying away from a side. Do you have any feelings when it comes to a side?
Well, like I said, I think with the defensive team, the way both teams play defense. You know, since the reason why Cincinnati's had an edge over this, Tennessee's always been a football school, and Cincinnati has been a basketball school. So that goes back for eons, even before you were born. But I can't see that. I can see this being a tight game with both teams playing great defense, and I'm just afraid of the reputation that the Volunteers bring to this game because they are ranked so highly. We'll have to wait and see if they can follow through. And like you said, having a poor shooting night opening night, if they bounce back this time, the Bearcats might be in trouble.
Yeah, I think it might be a good one. And I'm kind of rooting for a closer game because if you get to the free throw stripe, obviously it means more points. And Tennessee is
Yeah.
actually a good free throw shooting team. And Cincinnati's opponents have been averaging at least 25 free throws a game, which is not good for Cincinnati. But that's going to do it for our college hoops talk. One of us will be right at least. As always, great stuff from Chip Chirimbes. Chip, thanks for joining us.